Hello and welcome
Hi.
back. I assume they were just watching another one, and then they were like, you know what? I'm gonna go watch another one now, and it's this
Boy,
one.
I can't
Okay.
wait to get more of that.
Yeah, and this one is for EFAP 304. It's a Super Chat Catchup, an EFAP mini, if you will, where we were covering Rings of Power Season 2, Episodes 5 and 6. Oh,
Boy, I
wonderful.
sure do love Rings of Power.
Yeah, everyone does. Can't wait for more. And so yeah, we're gonna check out some messages you guys decided to send us because yeah, something we mind doing. And so we're gonna start with the first one that came in, which was Rings of Power episodes just go on and on, utter crap. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um. Oh, I think this question had come up in a different stream. It's a very specific, spoilery Buffy question that I find interesting and I would like to answer. So if you could just do me a quick favor, Rags, just a little
Yeah.
real quick favor.
Yeah,
I'll,
just
I'll
a
be as
quick
fast
favor.
as I can. I'll post you a little thumb when it's all good.
Okie dokie. Well, I'll go ahead and use the loo, maybe grab a quick drink,
No
and I'll be
problem.
right back. You
As long
enjoy.
as you mute. There you go. Wow, I
Yeah.
think he muted before I even finished that sentence. I could have said anything. He doesn't know. Anyway,
Mm.
if Illyria can be Fred with all of her memories and behavior and attitudes and habits whenever she wishes, did Fred even die? Uh,
Yeah.
so the reason why, if you had, let's call it a like a blank slate of human, and they were uploaded with singularly all of those aspects, and the robot or what android, whatever the fuck it is, looks like Fred, you could ostensibly say that she's not dead, but like in the sense that she can occupy and act in the same way that Fred can, but that would still not be the same Fred that died from before. She would be a copy or an adjacent
Particularly
version.
when you add on
However,
the soul mechanic as well.
that's not what Illyria is. If you remember, Illyria is a ancient, like thousands and thousands of years old, a crazy demon creature that's lived infinite lifetimes compared to that of a human single span going to like 30 plus years. So the memories of Fred inside Illyria's brain are actually kind of small. They're still important, especially with the storyline that runs in Angel. But the point is, like, that entity would never be considered Fred. That's her impression. That is her
Yeah,
using what
she's
memories she
acting
has
like
access to. But at all times, she's absolutely not Fred. That's a really important thing to understand for the story as well.
hmm
Um, Not even close, even. It would be like, it's no different, really, than a voice actor pretending, doing a really great impression of somebody. Obviously, the impression is amazing for Illyria because she can actually use all of the memories as they were, but you have to try and it's kind of interesting to think about it with Connor as well, right? Like he's got 2 lives worth of memories that have clashed together. But with Illyria, it's much more of a pocket that she's got in addition, and she can access. And I think she does it in a way that she finds fascinating until the season progresses far enough that it becomes heavily influential on her actual character, which is really cool.
Interesting.
But the entity, of course, would not be considered Fred. It would still be Illyria. It's
Lyria
just
pretending to be Fred.
a very different Illyria from the god that ruled once upon a time. Um,
hmm
but I think it's a really interesting and fair question. It's just that you really don't need. It's not like a deep analysis sort of that would reveal that. Wesley is very explicit as with her about like you're not Fred and don't ever do that shit where it's like you're pretending to be her. Because it's still not Fred. It's not even a genuine. Even if you have her memories, but they're mixed in with Illyria's and her like interpretations. So it could never even. It's not even like I said. It's not like the android with all of the copied over files or anything. It's not like what Soma does. But even
hmm
then, you would still consider the person is dead. Simon is dead. Simon 2 is alive, so to speak.
Yes, that's right. Even though he experiences a continuity, like directly from that, like to him, that was his life, but it wasn't. It wasn't the life. The actual life was lived by original Simon.
Hmm. I find it fascinating to talk about that.
Yeah, Illyria is super cool considering she's only in like 7 episodes.
I love her. She's great. Right, we're safe.
Oh, I thought you were gonna. It was gonna be like a peepo thumbs up,
I think a
not
regular one
one.
was sufficient for this.
Okay, yeah.
On your recommendation, I finally watched Arcane years ago. I watched half the first episode and didn't give it a fair shot. Having watched it all last week, that was amazing. Thanks, guy. Loved it. Oh no, this is before season 2 comes out, by the way.
Oh my goodness. I'm really glad that you enjoyed the only season of Arcane.
Yeah. Best part of Star Wars Outlaws is when Nix got trialed for pickpocketing and he said, "I'm not a crook."
I'm not a crook.
I remember that part.
I
Also,
burned everything I've got.
do an impression of the greatest leader of your country, Rags. Oh wait, Rags do FDR. This is the same thing we had before, where they want us all to do.
I don't know his voice.
Well, yeah, and Fringy doesn't get one.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to pick someone for Australia. Not John Curtin or Ben Chifley or, well, it'll just be those two, but still.
Crocodile Dundee.
No.
A great political leader.
Yeah. For you? It was Winston Churchill for you, right, Mubes?
Yeah, I mean, I know him more as a figure. I'd have to listen to.
What about Pitt the Elder?
Again, I need to hear these voices
Oh,
for a while.
oh God! I thought you were gonna pick up on the Simpsons reference there.
Well, I actually thought you were doing a Blackadder reference.
No,
So
the
I wasn't gonna.
British Prime Minister is Lord Palmerston. Pitt the Elder. Lord Palmerston. Pitt the Elder. Okay, you asked for it, bud. And punches him in the face.
They got Pitt the Younger is running for politics in Blackadder, and then he says his younger brother will be running for another party, and Blackadder says, and who is that? Pitt the Even Younger? Pitt the Embryo? Pitt the glint in the milkman's eye? Yeah. Everyone should watch Blackadder.
Palmerston, not Stock. Look, alright, I don't know 19th century British politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Pitt the Elder, who I think was not 19th century. Yeah, he wasn't.
I just found out that the reason Stormtroopers in Mando Season 1 finally were out of place / clean and different was because they weren't Disney props. They were the 501st cosplayers that used their own costumes. I remember reading about that. Yeah, they saved their asses because they didn't have the props they needed, and so cosplayers got them what they needed, which is crazy. With whatever. Yeah.
It's wild. It's legitimately wild to think about.
It's
like, what do you mean you don't have you're Disney? You have Disney money.
Mike takes suck because he's the only American still living pre-9/11 era. Quote, just put on a B movie and talk over it, bro. It's so stupid, dude. Just bring in Dorothy, bro. Let's see some titties, man. If that's your assessment of Mike's DeClasso, that's just unfair as far as I'm concerned, okay? They listen to the dialogue in those bad movies.
They do.
Part of the fun. Mole's address is 123 Wales Street. Rag's address is 123 Arkansas Street. And Fringy's address is 123 Yorkshire Street. It's confirmed Australians are just Yorkshire Iranian MI6 agents with gibberish Yorkshire accents.
Gibberish Yorkshire accents? Would you say that an Australian accent sounds like a Yorkshire accent?
No.
Because I wouldn't.
No
I would
way.
say that an Australian... If you had to pick an accent that the Australian is similar to British, I'd be thinking like Cockney. If I had to.
It's too weird for me. I've never like. It's like, oh, which one do you think? It's like it's Australian. It's like saying, you know, which of the English accents best matches Russian. I'd be like, Russian is Russian. The accents are so different to me, but maybe I guess they sound similar to people who.
I mean, I don't know if I'd put it like I would say that
Zealand
the
and
American
Australian are
I would
close.
say they are close. It's just that
those are
New
close
Zealand says
for sure,
fish
but
and chips. They have weird pronunciations of a
Fish and
handful of
chips.
vowels compared to us, which
I
is
just-
normal. But I would.
And
I
jumping.
don't know that I find. I don't know that I find that quite so difficult to sort of think about the idea of like where did the New World accents come from? Because the impression I get is that the American accent
that's not what I
has
said.
got it. Okay.
Especially because American accents come from originally like moving from Britain, right?
Scottish
but at the
and
same
Irish.
time, they are absolutely distinguished now.
Oh, sure, but I guess I'm just saying that I can, you know, like if I had to, if someone said no, you got to try and make a comparison, that would probably be my attitude, would be that the Australian accent is probably closest to like Cockney. I think, not Yorkshire.
Yeah, no, I'd have to Google it, see what the conclusion is, because I can't think of a single accent in England that's like making me think like, oh yeah, that's kind of Australian-y. Similarly, I would never have been able to guess where like how the American accent came to be as a
I
result
thought
of.
it was Scottish and Irish because I just thought that was like a major influence.
I'm sure they were, but like it's
Because like Appalachia was mainly settled by Scottish people, wasn't it? And plenty of Irish people came over to like the northeast.
but like at this point it is
Obviously, a lot
so
of Brit.
definitive that it's like trying to trace it is just going to require like a linguist at this point for me. I wouldn't
Sure.
see. I'm not going to be able to give any insight on how they could possibly connect, and I would give the same commentary to Australia pretty much. I don't. I see them completely separated at this point as an accent. While in England, as you move across the country, it's like turning the knob on a a series of dials sort of thing to change exactly what things get focused and changed. Um, and like it's almost fascinating in that sense. And the same could be said for the American accents. They get lumped into one, even though there's countless that everyone is very familiar with.
Uh, I guess they do get lumped into. I think isn't it typically the case that like the entire west coast of the United States gets lumped in as being like one accent, basically. But that the more you move over to the east, the more that you start to see distinctions between accents, right? Like the sort of Boston accent versus the Appalachia accent versus like the Carolina sort of sounding accent versus Jersey accent. The more that you move over, to like later settled areas of America, the more that there's a level of homogeneity to the accents. I could be
Mhm.
totally wrong though, to be fair. I could just be talking out my ass here. Maybe there is a big distinction between the way people talk in Seattle and San Francisco.
Maybe. Uh, there's a classic Doom mod that lets you play as Thanos, complete with all Infinity Stones and the ability to blip half of the demons in a stage. That's cool.
Oh,
Hmm.
could you just keep doing that and then just a quarter, half? No,
So it
half a
sounded just
quarter,
one.
1/8.
There's a huge roguelite and RTS strategy game built in the Doom engine that are all that are classic Doom mods. Definitely check them out. Oh, so I guess yeah. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that gamers would have gone crazy trying to make all kinds of mods for Doom
Mm-hmm.
back in the day, and even to this day. Farewell and adieu to you fair Flemish massives. Farewell and adieu, you massives of Flem. Beautiful.
I in reference to that last super chat as well, there is a Doom mod that I watched a video about called My House, which I would really recommend that people check out. Let me double check the YouTuber who made the video that I watched. Because it got me. I believe it's. Let me double check here. Just want to make sure it's him. I believe it is Power Pack who made the video that I watched. It's very good. It's called myhouse.wad, Inside Doom's Most Terrifying Mod. It's a long video, but it was really good. And it actually inspired me to read a book that the mod takes some inspiration from. So check out the video. It's really good. Really cool Doom mod that I found very interesting.
The entirety of Zelda 1 has been ported to Doom, including weapons, items, enemies, dungeons, music, etc. Doom Guy even has a little Link hat.
Very impressive.
Neat.
Doom seems to be an incredible platform for which to build upon.
There's a whole FPS Castlevania game that's a mod of classic Doom called Simon's Destiny that is a first-person reimagining of the NES game. Got all this work getting done, all these different mods. So creative. Wonderful.
Busy beavers.
You know the intermission screens in classic Doom, the ones that show where you're on the map? There's a whole recreation of those. Oh, like actual levels for those. That's kind of cool as well. I don't know what you're gonna get with all this. So is the next 4 weeks of EFAP going to be nothing but the cringe show no one even watches? I understand, but I'm sad face.
Hey, some people watch it, just not nearly as many that used to, and it wasn't actually that big of a number to begin with, but it's less now.
Also, I mean, there is fun to it, like, and I think it's
These are
cathartic.
fun shows to cover. It is. I really enjoy covering Rings of Power. It's the kind of bad that it is. It's like classic bad. It's just really poorly written all the way through.
Hello, I love listening to your crazy conversations. I've been watching since light mode. Oh my.
Oh,
Star Wars
wow.
question. How long do you guys think it would take for Han to get from Tatooine to Alderaan? Google says 10 days. Also, hi Rags.
Hello. To get from Tatooine to Alderaan,
Like with hyperdrive, I'm guessing is the...
I would assume there are, because I don't know the science of the Star Wars, but I would assume that there are different speeds of hyperdrive, that some are faster and better than others.
I think they would need to be,
Um,
as in, it helps the universe if there is.
I would definitely write it to where different hyperdrives could get you there at different speeds. I would certainly write it that way.
Star Trek's got that,
10
hasn't it?
days. That's a
Whoops.
good time period though. I think that putting time and distance between star systems is a good idea, not just because it gives you downtime in which to do things in. It has a big scale to it that's understandable because you could imagine a 10-day journey. Um, but it wouldn't be so cripplingly long that the entire universe would have to be built around it. It's easy to conceptualize that, and you could do things with it. And you could have a long journey, like, oh, this is, crossing the galaxy might take a month, 3 months to cross the entire galaxy, but most of the journeys you might be taking take, 2 days, maybe a week. Anything past that is considered a long journey. And it would give you a reason to have ships be built in a certain way. If you could just zip zap to wherever you go, then ships wouldn't have to be designed in such a way that they would have to keep people, alive, healthy, entertained. But there really would be this almost cruise-like, voyage-like aspect to setting off from one planet to the other, where you'd have to have, sleep compartments and kitchens and galleys and things of that element. I think it adds a lot to the world, yeah. I like Star Wars. Oh, sorry, I like the Star War.
Yes. Why so many ads? So I've seen a couple of people saying this. I find it fascinating. We're on conservative monetization when it comes to streaming, which is the lowest ad format you can even choose. If to go lower than that would mean we'd be demonetized, as in like no AdSense at all. So I don't know what to do. Like you can choose conservative, moderate, or conservative, balanced, and then there's a third option that's like it spams it, I guess. But
Sometimes Google kind of just does what it wants to do, and YouTube decides, you know what? These are the kind of ads you get. You get this many ads. We're gonna put these here and there.
What was it?
But we're not.
They're talking about the live streams as well, right? Like I've seen people say it, but those are where you make that choice. The re-uploads, I don't think anyone's complaining about the videos ads, but I can't do anything
Maybe
about
they
it
still
really.
do it in those anyway. Maybe even on live streams
Well,
they
we know
choose
that
to put it in.
people have posted them, but when you upload a video and just leave it to YouTube, they'll like have a million little like yellow ticks for ads, which is absolutely fucking insane. But
Yeah.
you don't actually see a bazillion ads, but you see as many as possible at that point if you don't customize them yourself. So, broadly speaking, the answer is because YouTube is maximizing, ads as best it can. But for everything I can do on our end, it's the lowest that I can make it for you guys without just demonetizing the podcast, which obviously we're hopefully going to avoid having that be the choice. Hi EFAP.
Hi.
Studio Ghibli and movie arc when? You'd love them. I already do love them.
It has been something we've tossed around because I think I've only seen one actually, which seems very strange, and that is very strange. But I just have only seen one. But I would be
Which one?
totally down to see more. I've seen Princess Mononoke, and it was pretty neat.
Finished watching the presidential debate. It was great. I'm voting for Perot. It's time for centrism to thrive. Bush is a CIA chud, and that Clinton guy seems sussy. Rags is voting for Clinton, his governor.
Bill Clinton was the governor of Arkansas. He was born here.
Ross
Yeah.
Perot, but in the Smiling Friends world, he won in 1992, right? I can't remember because he tried again in 1996, but I think he won in 1992. And then Alan said, "Oh, you're so right about that, Pim. I forgot about that factoid." His head bobbing back and forth as well. Just like, it's hard to
Interesting
tell.
way to diverge the
It's hard to tell if
timelines.
he's being snarky. That's what I enjoy about it. It's like, is he being mean or is he genuinely saying like, "Oh, thanks. Like, I actually forgot about that."
That'd
You'll
be
never
fun,
know.
timeline divergence. Because in the MCU, Obama only got one term because after him would be who's the president in the MCU?
Well,
It was because it
I'm
was
pretty sure they've had like 4 at this point because there was the whoever it was
Iron
in
Man
Iron
3,
Man
yeah.
3, and then there was that guy in Secret Invasion, and now
Hmm.
Ross is going to be the president in Cap 4.
I wonder what happened with the Scroll War.
not going
It's
to talk
over.
about the Skrull War.
It's done. It's a
It
one-term
is.
president thing. That's what Nick Fury said. So he's just out, and now it's Ross.
They will never talk about the Secret War invasion thing
No,
again. That
they'll pretend it
show,
didn't
there's no
happen.
way. You can't keep that going. It would be the single most important event looming over the entirety of the rest of the MCU forever.
Yep.
Even more than the
I don't think
blip.
we'll ever. I don't think we're ever going to see the Skrulls again.
No, there's no way.
No. Kamala Harris getting upstaged because an eagle sat behind Donald Trump is crazy. You know what else would be crazy? You Dumbos playing DDLC.
That would be pretty crazy. That'd be pretty
Crazy.
wild stuff. Whoa, whoa.
The J tweet of the day is not being vegetarian makes you complicit in murder is actually a tamer version of Jay's actual opinion. All right. Fair enough. You know,
Well, I'm gonna eat meat, so deal with it.
remember rags about Norris's sister. She was on screen for 5 seconds and tried to top herself by a falling tree. Oh, I remember season 1. Yes.
Norris's sister.
When Gandalf was like doing that shit with the tree, she nearly
Oh,
dies.
Nori. Yeah, at the end of season 1. Yeah, Dilly. Her name is Dilly. I can't believe I remember that. So Nori's sister, her little sister is Dilly. She's around for a lot of scenes, but she never says anything, essentially. Her only narrative reason to exist is so that she can be a retard and walk up to the magically shaking tree so that a limb can almost fall on her. And then Nori has to save her, so everyone could go, "Oh, not Gandalf, you gotta
We don't know
leave. You're
about
so
you, yeah.
dangerous." Even though this idiot walked right up to the tree you were enchanting, and then it turned out that he did magically enchant it to have a lot of fruit. But that's Dilly's only narrative purpose. She's not a character. Idiot.
Hi, Rex.
Hi.
Surely as a dog, you should understand the value of picking nits.
You know what? That is a that is a really interesting thing that you are saying there. I'm just looking up what a knit is. Picking knits. Uh Interlacing yarn, link firmly closely, cause to grow together, to contract into wrinkles, to become compact, grow together, draw together, knit fabric, made from involving connections or bonds between things or people.
You looking at knitting?
KNIT? Oh, NIT, obviously.
Wow.
Listen, it's been a long day. All right.
Yeah.
The egg or young form of a louse or other parasitic insect, especially the egg of a head louse attached to a human hair. Yeah, you should pick nits. Nits are bad. Get them out of here.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. It's something we share as a concern, the both of us.
I vote the big little platoon tangent about death of the author from season 1's breakdown be named the dust of the elf burr debate. Hey man, well, that was practically the go-ahead for, you know what, this guy's gonna fit great. 100%.
I like the cut of your jib, kid.
The ring tax is worse than the Spanish royal fifth. Yes.
Well, the ring tax is double. It's 100% tax.
Really retarded.
That would be
Yeah,
insane. That's why we called him. Like, it just turns you into a greedy retard. Like you can't just do that. And they so casually say it. Oh, the king's tax. It's 100%. Like all goods are doubled in price now.
I feel like that would cause some problems, maybe, you know? Just a few.
How does this not completely destroy our entire economy? If you're greedy, why would you destroy the economy? Oh, it's because the writers are morons. You don't have anything interesting
No, it
to
was
say.
clever. Really clever.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it clever how the greedy retard destroys the economy instantly?
Yay. Good.
And
Good
then he
stuff.
mines so much material so fast to have it dumped at his feet that it would obviously make the price of those things plummet. Oh, such clever writing.
Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, the Balrog is named Durin's Folly, but that's probably from some licensed Lord of the Rings product and not the professional writers of Rings of Power. Of course.
Yeah, it might be. It could be an official name, but I could believe especially if it was a reference to the Balrog and some other thing, you'd call it that.
Every town has its ups and downs. Sometimes up outnumber the downs, but not in Nottingham. Poor Khazad-dûm. Or Khazad-dûm, they said. Ah, yes. A super chat is like a songbird. Surely a pretty penny from afar, but after currency conversion and YouTube takes their percent, it's an empty feast.
No, we get 70%.
It's not a bad split. I try to, like, you know, they are hosting all the videos.
It is, yeah, before you get too upset about YouTube taking 30%, consider the service that they provide to you for free.
Not bad.
Understandable that they take a cut, because we don't have to pay YouTube anything. And it essentially provides a limitless free platform for us to make and host videos that will be available forever, pretty much.
And, like, you know,
So
they fuck things up and there's things that could be better, but the features as they are pretty cool.
pretty awesome. I mean, Steam is the same way. Like Steam takes a certain percentage cut that's based off of a number of factors, but when you look at all of the services that they provide to you if you have a game and are selling a game, it's actually kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
Put a game on Steam and you have instant access to community hubs and discussion forums, guides, the Steam support, the store page itself, and DLC being listed there. You have, the overlay. You have a workshop, an integrated workshop, if you want to choose to use that. And there's a lot of amazing things that Steam offers you to put a game out. There's a reason why I love Steam, why everyone loves Steam, and there's a reason why it's the biggest of these platforms
I love
on
Epic
PC.
Games Store.
I hear they have a cart now.
They did it? Wow.
I think they do. They have a shopping cart now. They're able
So
to do
cool,
that.
dude.
Wow. What do they think of next?
I don't know.
It's
but
a modern,
can't wait.
an incredible modern world we live in.
Springy, when is your next dubious sanity upload? I need to know if these pantries are still safe. Hi, Rags.
Hello.
I mean, like, my answer is always going to be that I'm just working. So, you know, if there's a cartoon, there's a cartoon. But I'm just working away.
Alrighty.
Fair enough.
They must have used gold from Valinor for the dwarf ring, so Galadriel must be pissed that she got tricked into giving up her dagger.
Well,
We didn't talk about that.
We don't
Don't
talk about how they clearly established, like, Mithril is the big one, but also, yeah, the gold and silver from Valinor. They really needed gold and silver from Valinor. Where could we possibly, as if a Region wouldn't have plenty of that, right? But yeah, I guess we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that being a necessary component for the rings anymore.
Durin's Bane is pretty cool, but Gothmog, Lord of Balrogs, was killed by a pointy hat. Gotta watch out for pointy hats, man. Everyone thinks that they're, like, soft, but they'll stab right through you.
Yeah, if you starts those things up right, a mighty weapon.
Here's some apology money for your pain and suffering from watching this show so that we don't have to. Why, thank you.
Oh, thank you. That makes it sting a lot less, actually.
Yeah. I'm gonna be real, this show is a straight month of brain soup, not interesting enough to even figure out. I'll be back when y'all talk about literally anything else.
Brain soup.
Everyone has... One man's brain soup is another man's hilarious roller coaster
Yeah.
into insanity.
so?
I enjoyed watching it and making fun of it. I didn't enjoy
Well, like,
watching it. I
some of
enjoyed
the
making fun of it
most-
and picking it apart.
Like, people
It was enjoyable.
love the videos, like, going into how bad Star Wars and Marvel are, but we got plenty of fans who are like, I can't fucking stand another Marvel or Star Wars thing. It's just like, yeah, you know,
Mm,
fair.
Oh, fair enough.
You're all
No,
different
I
out
get it.
there, and I appreciate that.
It's
depends on what
okay.
you're into.
Hence the variety show aspect, you know? You never know what's gonna happen next. Whoa.
That's right. The EFAP variety show. Stick around.
If Sauron gave you a door with cows on them, would you call it a moo door? Probably not.
No, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably disconnect the two. Has been like, get off that door. I wouldn't keep them together specifically to call it that.
Got Mauler, quick, defend the Acolyte from a Fringy critique and a Rags critique. We did that last time. We gotta flip them around.
What, like I have to do it?
Well, if you guys want to flip a coin, but I mean, you know, it should be. We should move
I'll
everybody
do it,
around.
sure.
All right. So Fringy's got to defend the Acolyte from a criticism from myself and Rags. I suppose. I'll go first. They did not make anywhere near as much use of Master Soul as they could have. The actor, he had very few scenes where he was able to do anything acting wise.
I think that is an absurd thing to say, given that he is effectively the second most prominent character in the show, or, you know, technically third most if you want to make that distinction between Osha and May, which you must, because they are incredibly compelling and distinctive characters, distinctively
true.
portrayed by whatever her name is, because she's such a good actress.
An actor girl.
But Master Soul, he receives a substantial amount of screen time. He receives many scenes in which the actor is afforded the opportunity to shine because the writing is incredibly compelling. They've created a really compelling, tragic character in Soul who, you know, made a tremendous error and struggled with it for his whole life, and it didn't work out for him. But you know, that makes you think about the consequences of one's actions. It's a really valuable lesson that could only be achieved because Soul was afforded a substantial amount of screen time.
You know, on top of all that, you should have thrown in that the performance is just too subtle for some people, like to understand it.
I should have. That's true. Yeah, I should have. But you know, all right, Raggers.
I'd say one of the central elements of the Acolyte's plot was the differences between the light side and the dark side and how one could move from one to the other. And of course, its very negative consequences as we see in May and Osha's transitions back and forth. However, I feel like the show spends virtually none, if really none at all, time explaining the differences between the light side and the dark side and getting us to understand the differences in training and how the Jedi view these two sides of the Force. So how can we connect with the change if we don't understand it or are told about it?
See, that's your error, Rags. That's you not understanding the point of the show, because one of the points that was being emphasized by Smilo and his perspective on the Force is the arbitrary nature of the delineation between the light side and the dark side. His point was that the Force is just a means of affecting the world, and that the distinction between light and dark is there to control people, which of course he has serious concerns about, given his tragic history and his fate at the hands of the Jedi, which prompted his believable and realistic turn into one of the few Sith who existed prior to the prequel trilogy. So I would say that it is to have even suggested what you've said is tantamount to a fundamental misunderstanding of the point of the show, which is that the distinction between the light side and the dark side is arbitrary.
I feel like I've learned a lot today.
Me too. Talking to this imaginary character. Maybe we got it all wrong.
It definitely, like, broadly, that was the intention with the show somewhat, right? To be like, the Jedi aren't the good guys you think they are. Like,
that's right.
Yeah, but then it's like, oh, but the Sith are just clearly really evil.
They're just hyper murderers.
The Jedi are alright. Yeah,
really
the Jedi are pretty
evil.
good.
And
Smilo's
so is
really
Osha.
evil, and the Jedi seem to be alright, mostly. This
Mostly.
incompetent morons, but that's everybody in the Star Wars universe now. I was almost gonna. I think that when I was really teetering on the edge of asking was, isn't it weird that like May falls like instantly for the dark side? That's kind of weird. Just because she sees one
No,
shirtless
Too
guy and
seduced.
she's in the dark side.
her tragic life. She realized that she'd been deceived the whole life, and that was what made her become evil.
A pathetic, tragic piece of shit, worthless life. But yeah, all right. No way that crown fits 30-foot tall Morgoth. No, it was his ring. It was his ring. There you go. It makes sense now. He wore that as a ring, and then smaller people can wear it as a crown. Nailed it. I think we had a discussion about whether or not it would have been reforged or whatever. It's just not something they're gonna cover. They just rather you move on. The hat seems a bit small. When Morgoth took visible form as a colossal mountain wading in the sea, it's with its head above the clouds. Yeah, I mean the hat was bigger then, a little bit bigger.
Yeah, the ring changes size, so does the crown.
Morgoth uses headbutt on Maya. It's super effective. Could imagine. Can you do a FAP for the Northmen before Nosferatu releases? I mean, I'm probably not
No.
covering
Sorry.
either.
We won't be able to do that, unfortunately.
Also, thoughts on Cleaver? It's an evolution of a Pokemon Scyther. Oh, Cleavor, like, yeah, close to spellings. We can all have a little look-see. Also, Hyrax.
Hello. This is pretty edgy. I don't like it.
So he's an evolution of
Scyther.
Scyther, which is already kind of edgy.
Man, yeah, this is. I
Scyther
don't know.
is.
This is so
Scyther
he's
is.
got axes. He's got
Yeah, the
axes for
axes,
arms.
no, it doesn't work. The
Well, the
reason
thing is,
Scyther works is because you can buy
he's
it.
a bug. Yeah, I
Yeah.
could buy that he's like a bug. He's got the wings in the back, and he's green. He's got his little segments. I can believe that Scyther is a Pokemon, and even Sizor,
Lame.
isn't pretty bad because Sizor has pinchers. He's like a crab bug. Here, let me get it just to remind you. Sizor. He's like a crab bug. He still has the wings. He has the pinchers.
Actually, Caesar. That's what
Caesar,
he
is
says
it?
in Brawl, anyway. Caesar.
Oh, okay. Caesar. But yeah, those two pretty good. I like the both of them, but not a fan of Cleavor. That's just like, what are we doing?
Axes. Yeah,
What are
that's
we
the
doing?
first thing I was drawn to. I was like,
Axes.
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, like the original. Look at that! Look at that one. I mean, this is just the nature of the old Pokemon designs versus the newer ones. The old ones are clean.
That's the reward for being a mechanist, and the downside is suffering for their opulence. I love how the Hobbit showed Thrain. His father Thror was one of the ring holders. The book delineates that Thrain was driven by greed. Well, it would be nice to see the best version of that story as well as what they're doing in Rings of Power, you know? It would be nice to have more Lord of the Rings stories in live action that were really good. That would be cool. This is an interesting one. Can Saturday FAPs, which is all of them, usually, follow along with films on screen again? I'm not sure what they mean, because
Follow along with films on screen again?
what's interesting is they were saying this when we're doing the Rings of Power, which were followed along directly on screen, because we had all the footage. So everything that was shown was supposed to be in line with what everyone was talking about. Secondly, if we're covering, take for example, Die Hard or The Thing, obviously all of that was shown, because they can be.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're covering something, let's say, recent-ishly would be... I don't know if we've either done or heading towards something like Superman, we're not going to be able to show you the footage, you know? Like,
Nope.
Yeah.
so I'm not entirely sure what this question really means, because the rules have been the same since been doing this. It's astonishing how often Galadriel, out of context, is indistinguishable from Wormtongue. Yeah, she's pretty awful. Pretty
He is
awful.
legitimately a manipulative,
Sack of shit.
guileful sack of shit. Yeah, that's a good way to describe her. Yeah. She's a terrible person. She's awful. I have no idea what they were thinking.
The illusion could have been a big knighting festival in Celebrimbor's honor, petting his fragile mental state and ego and coaxing him to forge the rings. I don't even want to get started on thinking about what they could have done with Sauron causing illusions. Do you know how fucking cool all of that could have been, and how clever? But
Yep.
instead we had, wow, these candles, they don't seem to burn. Like, okay. And there's
It
a
would have
mouse on
been
repeat. It's like, okay, alright.
Yeah, I would have gone with we don't know who Sauron is for the entire
Yeah.
seasons. Multiple seasons go by and we still don't know who Sauron is. To the point where you say, fuck it, he might be a dwarf, he might be looking like an elf, he might look like a man. You never know who Sauron is. And he could have it's kind of like The Thing, right? Where if it's written really well, in retrospect, you can sort of track who is who and who might be who. But instead, it's just like, no, here's who he is, and he's a retard.
Well, you really could do that, and then halfway through the season, someone who wasn't him definitively is killed, but, like, we don't know, because they're immediately replaced, but there's tells.
Yeah, that would be a lot of opportunities to give those little bitty clues. You know, why is this person doing that? Why do they look that way? Why did you show me that expression that they gave? What are you up to?
I'm so fed
But
up with
instead, it's
this
just
show. Yeah. I mean, this makes Bold and the Beautiful look good. By the way, so good to see Random Film Talk part of the group. Yeah, he's awesome.
yeah, he's great.
Always nice to have him. The
He's
sack of
And
Eregi...
I presume that The Bold and the Beautiful is more coherently written than Rings of Power.
Probably, yeah.
That's
A lot of
probably
things
a
are.
given.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah.
The sack of Eregion and the gruesome fate of Celebrimbor is so intense, tragic, and horrifying, and we will never see it done justice on screen. Correct, but I will say, like, they clearly wanted to try and be something like that when they portrayed him dying. I couldn't take any of it seriously, but you could tell they would, like, trying to be like, isn't this fucking gruesome? And it's like,
It's just
They
a goober
did
clown
not
idiot.
sell it.
He's too much of an idiot, yeah. Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a shame. They had a great actor who was trying his hardest,
yeah.
but he's just like, you made him too much of a moron. You made him like everyone's an idiot and nothing makes sense. So I just can't take any of this seriously because how we got here is awful.
And the extinct animal of the day is the hurricane, the North American hypercarnivorous panda cousin, named after the Mayan storm god, if you can believe it. Now, this is what I'm talking about, man, right? First of all, because I already know that we're going to be like, that's a fucking cool animal right there, especially with that
That is
name.
a cool animal.
Can you imagine someone saying, like, oh, we're going to need... In the new Jurassic film, we absolutely need, a crazy nonsense space orc in order to make it scary. And you're just like, bro...
No one would ever find that interesting. No one would ever find that entertaining or interesting to look at. They would be terrified by
We
that.
don't even need dinosaurs. We don't even need anything other than a fucking wild, aggressive dog. It's dependent on how you make the thing.
Exactly. Imagine if that was a Jurassic World spin-off, was like the Ice Age, that it was bringing back a bunch of animals from that era, so you get saber-toothed tigers and
a remake of The Land That Time
mammoths.
Forgot.
Or
an actual good, like, King Kong where they go to Skull Island, you know, that kind of thing.
That are well made, because, like, the Grey is coming to my mind, but, like, we're wolves. Just standard wolves are terrifying, and you know that they're gonna, kill the shit out of you.
I mean, Beauty and the Beast, the wolves were very dangerous and deadly, and they almost killed the beast. They're the reason why Maurice had to go to the castle to get away from them. He had to run away from them. Those are just wolves. Those are just animated cartoon Disney wolves, and they're pretty dangerous. They're pretty mean looking. They didn't they were no slouches.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for sending in your messages. We appreciate it, and we will see you in the next one, whenever that may be. Bye-bye.
Yeah, everybody. We will see you later. Bye-bye.